Hi everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you are doing amazing today. Thank you to anyone and everyone that joined my live tonight. I am super grateful for you guys. If you haven't seen it, please go check it out. This is part 9 of The Alley, written by Mingo Rubio Jr., read by his daughter Natalie Rubio. I want to post it because on my next live we might reach here. So I will continue to post the next part after I go live. So let's get into it. 20 minutes, part 9 of The Alley. Let's go. Timer, 20 minutes. You guys ready? Let's do it. Then I said, "Hey guys, we're still not in the clear. If you believe that, then I say you're terribly wrong. We've got to go now. We've got to get out of here. They're coming and we'll be here before too long." We covered the entrance to the tunnel with the lid. Then we got into Mr. H's van without further delay. Mr. Kim said to me, "What happened to your shirt, kid?" I said, "I used it as a diversion so I could get away." Just before we had arrived at the alley's entrance, we noticed a big commotion going on behind us. We had to wait before celebrating our deliverance, and after locking the gate, we left in a cloud of dust. We could hear the creatures howling when we left, and one of them was so angry it actually roared. Maybe because he knew that I committed theft, I had tricked him again like I did the night before. After the excitement subsided, came the seclusion. I was so exhausted. I felt as if I was totally drained. What I had just experienced left me delusioned. Was my father really a creature? Doubt still remained. Mr. Kim whisperingly said to me, "Kid, are you all right?" As I quietly sat there just kind of staring into space. Mr. H said, "Can't you see he's had a rough night? Just look at him. The kid has had a very long day." Then I said, "I'm all right. I'm kind of hungry though." Mr. H said, "Yeah, I'm so hungry I can eat a cow." Mr. Kim said, "Guys, that was close, but at least we know what we're dealing with now." Then I said, "Oh, Mr. Kim, I think this belongs to you." As I carefully pulled out a gun and put it in his hand. He said, "I'm sure glad you're part of this crew. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here, young man." As we were eating, Mr. H asked, "So what's next? I sure hope we don't have to go through that again." Mr. Kim said, "I agree. That was a bit complex, but things are going to get worse before it ends." This close call was due to my underestimation. My foolish oversight almost cost us everything. We lacked planning or any kind of preparation. I put us all in jeopardy. Man, what was I thinking? We need a lot more men to help us with this fight. There's no way that 3 of us can do it all alone. We're going to need to contact them all tonight. Have them meet me early tomorrow at my home. Please listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Soon the creatures will go back to the swamp land. And if we have to go in after them, we won't get out. They'll hunt us all down and kill us, every last man. I've seen this in many places I've been to before, and I noticed the same scenario happening here. The creatures seem to have a certain behavior. You see them one day, and then they disappear. It seems like they know some of our tendencies. I know it sounds a little weird, but that's what I feel. Almost knowing the places that we visit frequently and purposely showing up there for an easy meal. I said, "That makes sense. Why wouldn't they know? The creatures are partly human. Isn't that correct?" "They're reacting instinctively. They still have souls," Mr. Kim said. "That's right, kid. Now I recollect." He looked at Mr. H and said, "Who the heck is this guy?" Mr. H smiled and said, "I told you the kid was smart." I said, "I don't know about that, but you can't deny that I'm a son of a Rubio, and a Rubio's got heart." They were still laughing as they dropped me off. I saw that my stepfather was waiting at the door. I also noticed my mom looking down from the loft. Then I hugged my stepfather like never before. Soon after, all of my friends came by one. They all wanted to know what had been going on. I explained to them everything that we had done. We just chilled for a while, sitting in the front lawn. Then I told them what else needed to take place, that it would be dangerous. I made them all aware. And I could tell by looking at some of their faces they wanted no part of it. They all looked scared. I told my friends to meet me there in the morning, but only those that were fully committed and stern. Then I ended my meeting with a severe warning. Understand, there's no guarantee that you'll return. I was sure I lost half of them right then and there. It was kind of weird how courage made itself known. I was really counting on some of my close friends, but when the next morning came, I stood alone. Mr. H showed up and asked, "Where's the guys?" I saw he was alone too. I asked, "What about you?" Then he said, "I guess it's not a good day to die." I said, "Yeah, they'd rather be watching Scooby-Doo." Then I asked him, "How is Petey? Is there any change? I'm sorry I didn't go with you last night to see him." He said, "I stopped for a while. He's still the same. I went to the hospital after I dropped off Mr. Kim. I figured we'd just go straight to Mr. Kim's today. That old man said he wants to get an early start. And after last night's fiasco, I feel the same way. I don't want to go into that place again after dark." I quickly got out of the van and ran back inside. I said, "I'll be right back. I'm getting another shirt in case I have to do the same thing as last night." Then I came out with a shirt and some fireworks. Suddenly, Tom came out and said, "Wait for me. I want to go with you guys. I'd really like to help." I said, "Wait a minute. You have your responsibility. You're not going to leave my mom all by herself." He didn't argue. He understood what I was saying. When we left, I saw my mom crying by the window. Tom said, "God be with you guys. We'll be praying." It broke my heart. I knew she didn't want me to go. I turned away. I didn't want Mr. H to see me cry. He said, "I thought I knew you before this began. I always saw you as this little boy. I don't know why. You've grown a lot, son. Now I see you as a man. You remind me of your dad when he was your age. He too had to grow up quickly when he was young. I still remember how proud he was back in the day when his wife gave birth to a baby boy, his son. And if he could see you now, he would be proud. And for what it's worth, I am very proud of you, kid." Just then we arrived and we noticed a small crowd. Some of our friends showed up, even Dr. Madrid. And when they saw us walking up, they cheered. I was surprised. Suddenly, I didn't feel so gloomy. Then I said, "Wow, Mr. H, how many guys are there?" He said, "Enough for a Cheech and Chong movie." Mr. Kim came out, of course, smoking a big cigar. Then he looked at all the guys, but he didn't speak. Suddenly, he pointed at me and said, "There you are." He said, "Come here, kid, and bring Ralphie and Pete." He said, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. I'd like to take this moment to explain our mission. You need to understand exactly what this is about. Many of you may be injured or die in this expedition. Those of you that are chosen must comprehend what we're going up against is very extraordinary." He quickly dismissed those that had small children and also the men that had been recently married. He said, "I don't want to make it worse. Believe me, those of you that weren't chosen or picked today, go home and take care of your wife and families. It's for this reason that you aren't allowed to stay." The guys that did remain, he had lined up in pairs. Then he marched them into his house 2 by 2. A lot of guys showed up, and now only 14 were there. He said, "Let's get to it. We've got a lot of work to do." He said, "I'm going to get you ready for our invasion." He gave us cigars and said, "Puff, puff, pass it on. I have been saving these for a special occasion. This will help clear your mind and make you strong." They all knew Mr. Kim had no one really objected. I think they all figured that might be the last time. Maybe that was their initiation for being selected. At least for that moment, that took their minds off of dying. Some of them looked around and were astounded as Mr. Kim called us all to the middle of the room. What he said next left most of them confounded. He said, "This may be the last time that I see you. Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you now. Make sure you understand this before we adjourn. And there will be no exceptions, no way, no how. If it bites you and if it bites you and don't survive, you will be burned. If there's any doubt your body will be cremated, I'm not going to take a chance of this spreading. Throughout history, this has been underestimated. This is not a church social where we are heading. A couple of guys got scared and decided to leave. My guess was they must have felt they'd surely die. He said, "It's fine, I understand, you are reprieved." They wished us good luck and then said goodbye. Then Mr. Kim said, "Does anyone else want to quit? If you're not sure about this, then now is the time. Because I only want guys that are willing to commit. I don't want to get there, then you change your mind. No one else, then let's get to the business at hand. What we're attempting to do has never been done." I had to say that the old guy really took command, and he began to assign different duties to everyone. Then he gave us a clipboard and said, "Here's a list." He said, "Pick a number and that job will be yours." He planned it out carefully like a military strategist. It seemed like he'd done this a few times before. He said, "The assignment I give you will be your task. If you follow it to the letter, it might save your butt. And if you don't understand it, then you'd better ask. But I need each of you to follow it, no matter what." He said, "Hey kid, I already put your name on number 10. It means that you're going to keep me company." He nervously said, "You're covering my ass again." I looked at him and said, "Sir, you can count on me." He had brought out spears for some of the crew. He told a brief story of using silver-tipped spears. Silver weakens the creature. That's why it's used. As a matter of fact, I used it on the rest of our gear. He went over the plans and strategies for hours, going through each scenario with such precision, carefully calculating his resources and manpower, knowing that we would fully rely on his decisions. He said, "It took me a while to prepare all this stuff. I've been anticipating this opportunity for so long. I have carefully planned this. I hope it's enough to ensure our safety and nothing goes wrong." Dr. Ralphie said, "Don't worry, Mr. Kim, I'll do my part." Just then, Dr. Ralphie pulled out a special weapon. Mr. H said, "Hell, I wanted to shoot it from the start." Ralphie said, "Relax, Pete. It's just a tranquilizer gun. I'm going to go with the kid into the tunnel below, and hopefully we find a real good hiding spot. And I'll quietly wait there until the creatures show. And when they get close enough, I'll take my shot. In order for me to draw venom, they must be alive. I've discovered this in all of the studies I've made. The venom consists of so many different enzymes, and upon death, they all break down and coagulate. I do realize that killing the creatures must be done. Then we have to cut them up and also burn them. I'm sure Mr. Kim will go over this with everyone, but before we kill it, I must get some of its venom. I need the venom from just one of the creatures. I only need the one that attacked your son Pete. So we have to be very careful and very particular in denying the creature that we actually need, in identifying the creature that we actually need. One of the things I've learned through experience is to be on your guard and expect the unexpected. Never underestimate them, or you'll recompense. Watch each other's back. Always stay connected. Mr. H asked, "How long do each of these darts last?" Ralphie said, "Those dosage varies depending on size. And what I'm going to use will go down fast, but if the dosage is too strong, the creature will die." Just then, Mr. Kim had an announcement to make. He quickly turned around and then took off his shirt. Then he said, "I was lucky to live from my mistake. Others haven't been so fortunate. They're eating dirt." We all cringed when we saw the scars on his back. I looked at Mr. H and said, "That must have hurt like hell." "Now I really feel bad for giving him so much flack." He said, "Don't worry, kid. He's fond of you as well." As Mr. Kim put his shirt on, he said, "Kid, come here." Then he grabbed me and went through this routine. He looked at me and said, "You have nothing to fear. God will protect you, kid, if you know what I mean." He embraced me as if it were the very last time. Then he had us gather around and said, "Let's pray." He told me to get a rosary and Bible by his shrine. I said, "So now you're Catholic?" He said, "I am today." In his prayer, he asked God to protect every man, and after loading up the gear, he said, "Let's do this." Mr. Kim packed a bottle of holy water into his bag. Then he said, "That's right, kid. I'm also an exorcist." We formed a small caravan with vans and trucks, and I noticed an apprehensiveness on the guys. How would they fare in that battle in the aqueduct? Then I wondered how many would come out alive. After arriving, we all huddled together at the gate, and it was still early, I say maybe about 4 o'clock. Mr. Kim went over the plan again, just to reiterate. Then he wished us luck as Mr. H opened the lock. Mr. Kim called out and said, "Where are my scouts? Ralphie and Mingo are going in to start this mission." He said, "I want you guys to go in and check it out and make sure you get set up in a good position. Remember, Ralphie, all you have is a tranquilizer gun, so make sure that you pick out a good hiding spot. And if the darts don't stop them, you'd better run. I don't want you to take a chance on getting caught." I said, "Don't worry, I know a real good place to hide. It's high on a rock and it'll give you a perfect view. I hid in that spot myself the last time I went inside, and as long as you stay hidden, they won't see you. But you can't let them see you before you get there, and you have to go across an open area to do so." Dr. Ralphie said, "Damn, kid, aren't you a little scared?" I said, "Yeah, man, I'm terrified. More than you know." I said, "When we get to the chamber, let me go in. I'll see if you can safely make it to the upper tier. I'd hate for us to be discovered before we begin. I'll come back and get you when the coast is clear. But I'm letting you know right now before we start, any sound you make in this room is reverberated. The smallest sound is amplified, so take it to heart. They'll hear it and come running to see who made it." Everyone stood outside the alley, waiting anxiously. They looked nervous, their expression rather numb. Then Mr. Kim called for Dr. Ralphie, Mr. H, and me. He said, "Okay, boys, the moment of truth has come." Then Mr. Kim said, "This is where we'll set up base. Everyone else will stay here until they are called. Pete and I will go with you guys to the metal grate." As we left, I saw everyone marveling at the walls. At the grate, we waited for any movement or noise, just like the last time when we were there before. Then Mr. Kim said, "I've got something for you boys." He handed me a knife. It looked like a small sword. He said, "Honor me by taking these knives with you. They were a gift given to me by the love of my life." He said, "I even had these knives silver-tipped too." I said, "I'll do my best to honor you and your wife." Mr. H said, It seemed clear I don't hear any sound." Then I took a deep breath and jumped in the hole. I would go in there by myself just to look around, and if it was clear, I'd go back and let them know. Once I got in, it took a while for my eyes to adjust. I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face. I almost started coughing because all of the dust, but I didn't want to make any noise, just in case. Halfway through, I noticed a small glow at the end. As I reached the chamber entrance, I gave a thought. I must be out of my mind to come back here again. It was a lot brighter than before and twice as hot. I took a peek to see if anything was moving about. I looked around and all I saw was a couple of birds. It was clear, and as I was getting ready to head out, something caught my attention. It was what I heard. I could actually hear the others talking up on the top. The fact that I could hear them was rather shocking. I made my way back quickly to tell them to stop. When I got there, I said, "I can hear you guys talking." I knew they didn't realize it. They were not aware. I said, "You should whisper or at least tone it down." As I climbed out and dusted off my shirt and hair, I said, "Good thing there were no creatures around." Mr. Kim motioned to the guys standing on the road, and in a split second he had everyone's attention. He signaled for everyone to go into whisper mode. I could see that added to their apprehension. I said, "The chamber is clear. Ralphie and I can go." As Ralphie looked into the hole from the metal door, I said, "You'll be all right. Just pretend you're G.I. Joe. You're big, so you might have to crawl on all fours." He followed me through the tunnel, slow and easy. When we got to the chamber, he was out of breath. Then he covered his nose as he started sneezing. I said, "I wish you'd stop that. I'm allergic to death." He eventually stopped, and it was a good thing, too. Just then, I saw movement coming from outside. I told Ralphie, "Hey, man, be quiet and don't move. I thought I saw something, a shadow in the light." We went back in the tunnel, and I hid in the shadows and waited for whatever I had seen to come out. Ralphie, whispering, said, "I think you saw a ghost." Suddenly, the chamber echoed with a loud growl. From our vantage point, we could see what it was. It was a creature standing at the top of the stairs. Ralphie said, "Let's go." I say, "Let's see what it does." The creature had come inside to inspect its lair. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. My bookmark. For anyone who didn't see it on my live, my bookmark. This is from this Sunday. This Christmas. Thank you all for joining me. Part 9 of The Alley by Mingo Rubio Jr., read by his daughter, Natalie Rubio. Thank you for anyone that's watched any of my videos, any of my shorts, any of my lives. I am super grateful for you guys, and I am always sending you guys good vibes, love, happiness, positivity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God. And thank you, YouTube. Have a great weekend, everybody.